Hey, welcome to the 5 o'clock summer news. My name is Adam Burke. I'm going to make you a delicious cocktail and talk about the news, because once you hear that news, you are going to need a drink. Today's drink is a VESPER Martini, made famous by James Bond and all those people trying to be James Bond. This drink was suggested by my buddy Peter John Burns. There's no real thematic reason to do it this week other than it's really strong, and this is a good week for a really strong cocktail. This recipe is going to be enough to make one drink, because I can't afford the amount of liquor it would take to make two. First step, chug your martini glass. I'm going to chuck it in the freezer. Less than a week after he helped incite a violent attack on the Capitol, Donald J., the J stands for Junta, Trump, made a visit to his border wall in southern Texas. Trump used the occasion to remind Americans that if it wasn't for that wall, he could totally just escape to Mexico. This came just days after the president was kicked off just about every social media network there is. I think even his show on Quibi has been cancelled. The cull came on Friday when Twitter said that Trump had been permanently suspended. Okay, but if it's permanent, is it a suspension? Is he cancelled, or is he just permanently suspended like Louis C.K. or Mel Gibson? Either way, this permanent suspension culture has gotten way out of hand. By the way, for those of you who think Twitter is exaggerating the threat of violence from Trump supporters, a bunch of them started a hashtag where they called for Mike Pence to be permanently suspended from the fucking rafters. Take your cocktail shaker. 3 ounces dry gin. And yet, some conservatives still say that Twitter is unconstitutionally silencing the president. Right, because we all know that you can't be president without Twitter. Who can forget FDR's famous, "We have nothing to tweet but tweets themselves," or Lincoln posting 407 tweets ago, or JFK's immortal, "OMG, this new season of Bonanza is totally giving me life. Slay Hoss, hashtag Team Ponderosa." Twitter was the president's main avenue of communication because he made it that way. He could have used the White House website or televised addresses. The latter alone would have provided a huge boost to America's miniature furniture industry. But Trump preferred Twitter because he's lazy and he could avoid running stuff by people, which is his second least favorite type of running. That Twitter pulling the plug has effectively muted the president is his own fault. It's like a guy starving to death because they closed the local Wendy's. There were other options available. The fact that you can now only metabolize Baconators is on you, buddy. And 1 ounce vodka. Then half an ounce Lillet Blanc, if you have it, which is sort of like an aperitif vermouth. I don't have it handy, so I'm just going to use dry vermouth. On Tuesday, Democrats sought to invoke the 25th Amendment, which would remove the president from power, and on Wednesday planned to make Trump the first president in history who's been impeached twice. Hey, he's still got 8 days left. He should go for the three-peach. He could be the Michael Jordan of presidential misconduct, except Michael Jordan figured out how to successfully sell steaks. While some Republicans have called for the president to resign, a surprisingly large amount of them remain on the fence. Presumably they're waiting for that fence to be kicked over by a guy with zip ties and a Camp Auschwitz t-shirt.
Trump and I, we've had a hell of a journey. I hate it being this way.
Watching Lindsey Graham half-heartedly denounce the very mob that he's been emboldening for 5 years is like watching the guy in the nightclub disown his buddy who just OD'd in the bathroom. Hey, look, he's my sister's fiance, and yes, I did get him past the bouncers, and yes, I did supply him with heroin, but apart from that, I barely know the guy. The GOP finally got an up-close and personal look at Trump's army of goons and realized not only are they insane, but there's no money to be made there. You can't sell thousands of dollars in MAGA shirts to dudes who don't believe in shirts. That guy gets all his campaign merch straight off the buffalo. Add some ice to your shaker. Here's where the authorities diverge. Bond famously calls for his martinis shaken, not stirred. Liquor.com says you shouldn't shake a cocktail that's just liquor. I'm going to split the difference and shake it a little bit. Get your chilled martini glass, strain into the glass. This all happens as state and federal law enforcement continues to round up and arrest the geniuses who thought that camo print would help them blend in with neoclassical architecture. Hey honey, where do we keep our alabaster flak jackets? Okay, but what about my most understated Confederate flag? Richard Barnett, the Arkansas man photographed with his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, has been charged with several federal crimes, despite his defense that he didn't break into the office but was pushed in. Really, man, it'd be a more plausible defense to say you were Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, my beard's grown out a bit because I can't go to that one salon no more. Barnett is also charged with stealing a letter from Pelosi's office, but says he only took it because he bled on it. Yeah, man, it's a good thing you got that DNA evidence out of there, otherwise they might have been able to identify you. Garnish with a twist of lemon. It ends up being about 4.5 ounces of booze, by the way, so, take it easy. That's the Vesper Lind. This has been the 5 o'clock Summer News. Cheers.